back to the channel. And my name is Salwa. I'm a third year medical student at Faisalabad Medical University, and the topic of today's video is about how to get a distinction in MBBS and all of the tips and tricks that help me in getting a distinction in second. So the first thing is that distinction is not something that you get entirely because of hard work. There are so many different factors to getting a distinction. It can be your luck, it can be your hard work, your struggle, your dua and namaz, everything. All of this combines up to help you and get a distinction. So for that, you don't have to rely completely on the fact that I spent this many hours in studying, like I spent 10 to 20 hours and I still did not get good marks. That is not the only factor that is going to help you in getting your distinction. There'll be a lot of different factors, including your luck, your ability to attempt the exam, how you're attempting the exam, and the way you present yourself in your viva. All of these factors come up and they sum up to help you in getting good marks. So it's not just one thing that will be helping you. There'll be so many different factors and you have to work equally. So first of all, we'll talk about the books that you need that will help you in scoring better marks or in getting a distinction. So the first thing that I want to say is that distinction is not something in MBBS that you can rely on or that you can guarantee that you're going to get if you put in a lot of hard work. It's the same thing, that it depends on how much you study throughout the entire year and not about how much you studied at the end of the year. That is like a bit of a big misconception, that if I spend 15 to 20 hours at the end of the year, then that will help me out in getting good. Now, if we talk about the books that you should choose to get good marks, then there should be three things that you should be keeping in mind while choosing a book, while studying, even if you want to get a distinction, if you want to pass, whatever. That's up to you. But the three things that you need to put in mind are that the book should be easily understandable for you. It should not be a book that everyone is running after. Like everyone says, that you should choose a good book for anatomy, like most of people would go after like KLM or PD, Jurassic, anything like that. But it's not about what everyone else chooses because a senior told them you should go for this and this book and then they go for that book. But maybe they're not getting the points and the concept that they want from that book. It's not helping them out. It's not helping them in clearing their concepts and being able to solve their questions at the end of the day. Now, coming on to the next point will be that book should be easy for you to copy and paste into the exam, that you should be able to reproduce that book easily. What I mean by that is that you should be able to know what you know, like you're thoroughly able to explain it and reproduce whatever you studied. And it should not be just like a concept, like you know what you know in the viva, and while you're giving your viva you know everything, but when you're attempting in the SAQ you are not able to convert that concept onto the text. So that's what I'm trying to say. You should know what you are writing down. You should have a complete concept about it. You should be able to attempt that in the form of an SAQ or MCQ in the exam. These are the 3 points for choosing the book that you want for the entire year. It could be any book at all. Like in physio, you don't have to necessarily choose Guyton, although it's a very, very good book for MCQs and concept, but I do not think that is the only book that you should rely wholly and solely for your entire exam. You can go for many other different books, like you can go for JP, you can go for there's another book I think it's called BRS. There are many different books and you can watch different videos as well. If you want a good concept, then watch different videos. Don't just completely rely on the book that you are choosing. Like you can go for BD as well and KLM as well, whichever one you think is easier for you, because the difference is that one book has points, the other book has a paragraph format. So it completely depends on you what kind of style and what kind of format you are going for that will help you out in the long run. It should not just be for your exams. It should be the knowledge that you want to carry with you after these 5 years here in MBBS. So it should be knowledge that's fruitful for you at the end, that will help you some way. You're able to apply that knowledge in your clinical life. So that's what I'm trying to say. Now you've chosen the book that you want to continue your entire year with, and now comes to how you are going to study that book. If you're going to study any kind of book, then it depends on your intentions right now, what you want. Do you want a distinction, or do you want just a pass? If you want just a pass, then you can study throughout the last few months, like the prof period or the prof season, then that's enough for you. But if you want a distinction, don't actually rely that a senior told me, then I can skip right now, I can enjoy and chill and whatever, and then I can study at the end of the exam and at the end of the year, and will help me out. No, I'm telling you right now, that's a big misconception. The problem is that there are so many different kind of seniors that you can get throughout these 5 years. You should know that what kind of senior you're getting advice from. Is this senior giving me advice just to pass or to get good marks? So you should go to a senior according to your own needs. If you want a distinction, then you should study in your summer vacations. You should have everything planned out, and you should read each book at least 3 times throughout the year to know what you know already and what you don't know. Because the whole game here is that you should know what you don't know, so that at the end of the year you can focus on what you don't know and do not spend or waste too much time in the stuff that you already know. Because if you know it, why are you going to waste so much time on it? So for this, you need to make a register, like a notebook, a copy pad or whatever. And whenever you have a test of any kind of subject, then you have to note down that during this test, I was able to answer these questions. And I wasn't able to answer this question because either my concepts weren't strong in it, or I didn't prepare this topic properly. I did not understand it completely. My concept wasn't clear or whatever. You write that down in your notebook at the next day of that test, whatever the problem is. And at the end of the year, you have to check that register and see what problems you are facing throughout the year, what topics were frustrating you throughout the whole year, and that need more effort and they need more time and consistency. So that at the end of the year, these are the only topics that you are going to focus on. It should not be the entire book that you are focusing on, because you don't have that amount of time, you don't have that amount of energy. If you're going to focus on the entire book, then I'm sorry, you're going to burn out at some point. So you should know what your weak topics are. If you know what your weak topics are, then you're already ahead of everyone else, because you know what you're going to be focusing on at the end of the year. Is that okay? So now we're going to move on to the next point. You know the topics that you know, and you know the topics that you don't know. You have them noted down. Everything is fine. Now comes to the end of the year. How are you going to study at the end of the year? Now, before your prof period, like after your send-ups and before your prof exams, you have about 40 days or about 2 months, about approximately that amount of time. So you need to know the topics that are weak and put them first on your list. You need to have a proper schedule of how you are going to cover all these topics and have them revised as well. What I mean by this is that it's not just one time you're going to cover that topic. You're going to cover that topic at least 2 times, because when you're going to study the topic for the first time, there'll be so many different topics that you already know, but there'll be a few topics that still need more effort. So you're going to put them to one side and know that this topic needs a little bit more effort, and you're going to revise again, but only the topic that was a bit frustrating for you. It should not be revising the whole syllabus again and again and again. It's just too much amount of information, too much time and effort, and you cannot be putting in that much effort right now. You're going to burn out, and it's going to be really, really frustrating and draining and time taking at the end of the year. This is not what you want. Now, at the end of the year, you need to know 2 things. Like, you should be able to attempt the past papers, and you should be able to attempt MCQs. Now, we'll talk about what your paper format is. Like in here in first year and second year, then there'll be a 90 marks exam as well as 10 marks internal assessment, which includes in the 90 marks you'll have 45 MCQs and 45 SCQs. Okay, so if we're going to talk about the SQs first, then you should not be relying on the entire concept that I'm going to study each and everything and I'm not going to study the past papers. Because some people are like, I'm not going to attempt past papers because I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to be attempting each and every topic because I'll be having all kinds of patients, and that's totally correct. But for this time, you need to be focusing on the past papers, because they are basically those questions that are mostly clinically important, and they are those questions that are really high yield, and you should be having full grip and full concept over those topics. They should not be weak in any way possible. So you should be attempting the past papers and note down them on your book. You should tick mark on your book whichever topic that is in the past papers, and have those done first, along with the topics that were weak for you. That will give you an edge at the end of the year, because you will have all of the high yield topics done, and you'll be able to concentrate on the stuff that you've already done, and you'll have time for each and every single topic, because you divided them on the amount of time you needed and the amount of effort you needed to put in those topics. So the next thing is, how are you going to attempt MCQs? And I've been doing this technique ever since I've passed my MCAT, and I've been doing this in MCAT as well. It's like, if for example we're going to take a topic of like myasthenia gravis in physio, and I'm studying this topic for my exam, then what I have to do first is that I have to read the topic thoroughly from the book. After that, I am going to solve MCQs from any different source. Like, there's so many different sources for physio. You can use BRS Physiology or Guyton Review or Ganong Review. There are so many different books. I choose the topic of myasthenia gravis from the MCQs and I start solving it. After solving this MCQs, I solved about 20, and I saw that I got about 15 right and 5 wrong. I have to see what those 5 questions were that I got wrong, what topic they were related to, like were they the symptoms, signs, what was the reason or cause of myasthenia gravis. I need to know what that topic was, note down that in my mistakes copy. Like, a mistakes copy means that every mistake that you make, you write that down in your copy and you revise that copy one day before your exam or the morning before your exam, because that is basically the whole part of your book that needs the most effort and the most consistency. You should be revising only that part that needs the most effort. It should not be revising that chapter all over again that needs effort. Only those points that you got wrong. I hope you're getting my point. So you solved the MCQs and you wrote down those points in your mistakes copy. After that, you go back to those topics that you got wrong. Like, if you were doing myasthenia gravis and the cause of myasthenia gravis was an autoimmune disease and you did not know that, then you go back to the book, study that point again, and then attempt those MCQs again. Maybe not that day, but on the next day you attempt those MCQs again and see if you got 17 right or 18 right, and then focus on those 2 MCQs that you got wrong again and study those topics again. That means you are not wasting your time on the things that you already know and only focusing on the things that you need to put more effort on. I hope you got my point. Now I'm going to talk about the points that you should know while attempting any kind of question in your prof paper. The first thing is that your answers should be as precise as they could be, and they should be as accurate as they could be related to the question. I'll give you an example. So if you have a question that says, if there's anterior dislocation of the humerus, then what nerve will be damaged? Then you do not explain each and every single thing about the axillary nerve. You only write down what they asked you in the exam, and that is axillary nerve. And you will get complete marks for that question if you answered it precisely and accurately. You don't need to fill out the entire paper or fill out 3 or 4 pages just for that 3 or 4 marks. It doesn't mean that if a question is 4 or 5 marks, then you start filling up the entire paper. You need to attempt as much as they asked you in a very precise and a very accurate and very nice way. So for that, if it's like a question related to anatomy, if you have to write about the course of a nerve, then try as much as possible to also add a diagram, because diagrams really help out, especially in anatomy and also in physiology as well. If you add a diagram, that it really adds to your concept. It shows that you know what you are talking about. You know the question. It's not just something that you learned or crammed a day before the exam. So a lot of people are like, we're not in FSC anymore, why do we need to add a diagram or anything like that? But the reason is because it shows your concept, and there are so many different examples. Like, I can give you an example of a senior told me that he went to UHS to get his paper rechecked, and he wanted to see why his numbers weren't really as much as he expected. So after seeing his anatomy exam, he saw that in a few questions he made a diagram, and in a few questions it was just complete theory. There was no diagram. In the question that he put in a diagram, he got 4 out of 5, and in the question they did not put any kind of diagram, he got 2 out of 5 or 3 out of 5. So it shows that in some way examiners really want that kind of illustrations in the exam, so that makes it even more colorful, more descriptive, and it just really adds to your concept and knowledge. So try to put in diagrams as much as you can. Now the next point is basically about consistency. You should be studying throughout the entire year. It should not be just like 1 month or 2 months at the end of the year. That is just too much draining for you. No matter how much effort you put in, you're just going to forget at some point, because you're not consolidating that knowledge no matter how hard you try. If you want something to be in your long-term memory, then you have to study it again and again and again, and focus on the things that you did not know. If you're going to read that topic like about 3 or 4 times, but only a month before the exam, then it's still going to be in your short-term memory. It is not going to move on to your long-term memory. You need to attempt your tests in college as much as you possibly can. They really help you out in knowing what you don't know, what needs more effort. So try to focus on your tests, get as much marks as you can. Even if you don't get good marks or good grades in a test, that's totally fine. The only thing that you need to know is what your weak topics are. That's the whole game in MBBS right now. And one tip that really helped me out in getting distinction was that I used to study with my friends. I used to teach stuff to my friends, or they would teach to me, and we would study together. Now, the main thing about this is that if you've studied a topic, maybe one of the topics will be really easy for you and you're able to get through that easily. But the next topic would really give you a tough time, and maybe your friend found it easy. So that friend will teach you and you will teach them. Then both of you will get complete knowledge. Other than that, maybe you click onto one point and then they click onto another one, and you both just aren't able to click onto the same points. So you teach her and she teaches you, and then it's really easy. It saves you a lot of time and you get so much done in so less time. So I would highly recommend that you do not study alone, but you study in groups with so many different kind of people. They will help you out and you'll get everything now done. The next point is about self-belief. Now, how much you believe in yourself matters so much in any kind of exam, whether it is about MBBS or it's MCAT or it's FSC, whatever. Your own self-belief matters so much that you cannot even I cannot even explain it, no matter how much I try. Self-belief is basically how much you believe in yourself and how much you think that you can solve your goals, like commit to your goals. Basically, it means that you should be able to believe that you can achieve your goals. Self-belief matters so much in MBBS, and not just in MBBS. It matters so much no matter which degree you are in, because it's basically how much you think that you can achieve in life, and it's only you that is going to be doing it. It's not going to be someone else. No one else is going to be solving all the problems in your life, and nobody else is going to be helping you out. It's just you at the end of the day. So whenever you feel that you are not motivated enough and you cannot do something, then you have to believe in yourself at the end of the day. You should also be making a study schedule about how you're going to be completing everything at the end of the year. You should not just be solving all the questions that you possibly can, or doing past papers or whatever. You should be able to make a proper schedule, and I'll show you a copy of how I made schedules each and every single day. You should be having a schedule of the entire syllabus, of how you're going to be completing the entire syllabus at the end of the year. Other than that, you should be having a daily schedule of how you're going to be completing your goals every single day, how much you're going to be completing in just one day, the amount of topics that you're going to be doing. You should be dividing them throughout the entire week, so that you know how much you are getting done and how much effort you need to be putting into each topic. If there is a topic that you do not know, then you should watch videos related to that topic. That will help you out, and it will help me a lot, especially in physio, because it was basically conceptual. I was not able to read from books. I always watched a video first and then I studied that topic from the book. Other than that, it should not be like 12 to 15 hours studying each and every single day. You need to spend as much time as you can with your family, because I believe that at the end of the year, whenever you have about 1 or 2 months at the end of the year, everybody goes home. Nobody stays at hostel. There are very few people that stay in hostel, and even if you do, I recommend that you stay with your family during that time, because there will be so many times when you will be exhausted and you really need to spend that time with your family. They will support you, they will encourage you. Spend as much time as you can with your friends, because if you are going to isolate yourself at the end of the year, and if you're not going to be spending time with anyone at all, then you are going to get exhausted. You will not be able to attempt at the day of your exam. It will be so hard for you if you are not socializing with different kind of people. You should be spending your time with your family, with your friends. Tell them what is going on in your life, what are your problems, all of the memories that you had together. It just helps you relax yourself at the end of the year, because there's just so much tension going on, especially in WhatsApp groups. Everyone is like sending so many weird questions, like they're not even in the exam, but still everyone is trying their best just to get through. So you have to be spending time with your family, and try to ignore as many WhatsApp groups as you can, because some of them can be a bit toxic for you. Like, you're not into that kind of stuff, it just really stresses you out. Just isolate yourself from that kind of stuff and spend as much time with your family, so that you can relax and not burn out. And at the end, I'll just like to share that consistency is everything. Especially in MBBS, consistency is everything. You should be doing everything slow and steady. It's not a race completely. It's not a competition. To be very honest, it's not a competition. You should be doing this for yourself, so that you can be a good doctor one day. Your knowledge will help you out someday. You will be able to treat your patients, and you'll be the type of person that you're trying to be. You'll be the best version of yourself, basically. So keep on working on yourself. Set a schedule, set a timetable for yourself. Like, I'm going to be spending this amount of time each and every single day for my study. It's not like I'm going to be spending 20 hours at the end of the year and I'm just going to be chilling right now. No, that is just going to make you drained, and you're really going to burn out to some extent. So if you really want to get the most out of what you're doing, then set a timetable and start doing your topics throughout the entire year. And little by little, you will get so much done. And at the end of each topic, or at the end of each day, reward yourself with something, because that will keep you motivated. Now, if you really, really want to keep yourself motivated, you need a reason for that. You need to have a person who is related to your ambitions and your goals, that will keep you motivated for a long time. If you want all of this for yourself, then you are not going to be doing this for yourself, because at some point when this will be too much, then you'll be ready to accept the bare minimum. You'll be like, I just screw this shit, and like, I don't want this degree, I don't want to get this done. It doesn't really matter. But if you're doing this for your parents, for the happiness of your parents, for someone you really, really really like in your life, and like, if you want to give them a better life, it could be one of your siblings, it could be a relative, it could be your family, anyone, or your friend. If you want to be a successful person for someone else, then it's more likely that you are going to succeed in your life, because you're doing it for someone else. You're sacrificing yourself for someone else, and then you're definitely going to get this job done. But if you're doing it for yourself, then it will be really, really hard. So try to make someone associated with your goal, and it will help you in getting it done. And at the end, I would like to share that dua, namaz, and your connection with your soul, your connection with Allah is just so, so, so important. Like, it's at the last, but I save the best for last. So this tip is really important, that you need to have a very, very good connection with Allah, not with Allah Ta'ala, not just now, but also throughout the entire year. It's not like you're going to be a Muslim at the end of the year just because you have exams. It's because you have a connection. That connection should not just be now, but the entire year. You are going to work hard. You are going to ask Allah for what is better for you, but not just when you want something, but also when He gives you each and every single thing. You are going to have a connection at your best days, at your worst days. Allah knows what is in our hearts. He knows what is best for us. He knows that if a distinction is really good for us, if it's good for our soul, if it's good for us, for our family, then He will definitely give it to you. But if it's not good for you, and if you don't get it, then it does not mean that there's any kind of discrimination, or that it wasn't better for you. It's just, you maybe need a bit more time. You need to focus on what is going on in your life, and do not be disappointed if you do not get a distinction. It's totally fine, because maybe you need it now, maybe you need it at some other point in life. It just really depends on what is better for you. So just keep on putting in as much effort as you can. The point is that you should be working hard, and you cannot control your results, no matter how hard you try, and no matter how much you think that you're the one who's going to decide what is good for you, what kind of result you need, and what you should get. That is not something you can control. Your results, your marks, your grades are just something you have to just wait and see what is going to go on, because it's not something in your control. It's something that Allah knows what is best for us. The only thing we can control right now is the amount of effort we are putting into our exams. It's the amount of effort you are putting in for yourself, the amount of effort you are putting in, the amount of struggle you are putting in to help other people. It depends completely on your intention. You should have very good and very pure intentions for the people of the society, for the people in your family, for yourself, and the people you're going to be treating. It all depends on your intentions. So keep your intentions straight, work hard, do as much as you can, put in as much effort as you can, and inshallah you will be in a very, very good position, even if you have a distinction or not. Allah sees your effort, He sees you struggling, He knows, and He will give you what is best for you. So try to put in as much effort as you can. Do not burn out, do not drain yourself, do not leave each and every single thing in your life just to get a distinction. Enjoy throughout the year and also study throughout the year. Be very consistent, be very pure with your intentions, believe in yourself, and work hard as much as you can for the people in your family, for the people in your community. Just try to be the best version of yourself, and inshallah you'll be at the height and the peak of success one day, inshallah. So this is the end of the video, and I really hope my tips and tricks really helped you in some way at all, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.